everyone, welcome to our Claris FileMaker training course on how to build a custom CRM in 30 days. This training is designed primarily for beginners or those of you who need kind of a refresher with the Claris FileMaker platform. Over the course of 30 days, we're going to spend about an hour each day covering topics from the very basics of the Claris FileMaker platform in terms of the tools, the products, deployment, security, all those things you need to know about as you build a custom application. So keep in mind that towards the beginning of the training, the topics are more basic in nature. And as we get towards the end of the training, they're somewhat more advanced, I would say probably intermediate level topics. Now keep in mind this special part of this training is that while we're not only talking about the FileMaker platform, we're talking how you can rapidly customize an existing free CRM that you can download today. It's unlocked. So taking that CRM and customizing it to your organization's particular needs. Now, a couple important links to keep in mind. One is that if you need a copy of FM Starting Point, the free unlocked CRM, visit fmstartingpoint.com and press the button. And then our system will shoot you an email with the current links to that CRM. If you're looking for additional FileMaker training, visit fmtraining.tv and press the bundles button. And that will allow you to get more of this highly animated and somewhat energetic training material to help you through the learning process with the Claris FileMaker platform. Lastly, if you have questions about the FileMaker platform or you're looking for some additional help, maybe some one-on-one coaching help, feel free to email us at support@rcconsulting.com.
Hello, everyone. My name is Margaret. You're going to be your broadcast engineer for today. We are on our last day of the 30-day custom CRM in 30 days series. We are on day 35, so not exactly 30 days. We're pretty close. Today's topic is going to be kind of an interesting one. Richard is out, but I have the fantastic and wonderful Calvin and John Van Hogel. There's John, who has appeared in the Zoom window right there. And they are both fantastic senior engineers with RCC who have presented many times before, and we love having them on. Real quick, today's topic is, like I said, where do we go from here? Which is kind of an interesting topic. So today's topic is basically where do you go from here? So we covered basically 35 days worth of really beginner FileMaker topics. We go from what is a layout to like how to install really basic charting, really basic calendars and all that jazz onto your FileMaker databases, give you a really basic working knowledge of how to work with FileMaker if you're totally new to the platform, or basically refreshing your knowledge if you haven't been to the platform for a while. But a big question is that a lot of people are working on really personalized projects for very specific reasons. And while you'll have a lot of really basic stuff, you'll also have some really intermediate and advanced problems that you want to resolve. And so people are like, well, where do we go from here? Where do I go to learn like all the really detailed stuff? Like I have an education system or an event management system or a medical system, and I need to do really, really specific things with it that we didn't cover or talk about. So that's basically what today is. If you have specific questions about things you are trying to pursue or go forward with, we were going to give you a very simple answer, and then we'll also give you a place where you can research it in your own time, or if you decide that you need assistance, where you can go and how hard it would be roughly to implement from the mouth of our senior engineers themselves. Hello, Calvin and John. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for the moment.
Okay, you should be able to see my screen now.
Yes.
And I believe you had, so today is an open Q&A, so we can answer some questions. And one of the questions that we want to look at is, where do we go from here? Looking at some resources for FileMaker for your next steps in your app. So Margaret, you said you had one question to start off with. What was that question?
The question that I have to start off with is a fantastic one from Fernando. I will read it out loud, and then I will also post it because it's a bit lengthy. This is from Fernando on Twitch. I just had a webinar session on Adobe Sign, a very nice tool for managing signatures on documents. My question is, if someone already faced this need and is there a not too difficult way to make this work in FileMaker? Also, is there an add-on for Office Word? Maybe something like that exists as well for integration in FileMaker.
Yeah, good question. So what we're coming to now is the idea of integrating with other platforms. So FileMaker does have the ability to interact with other apps using plugins or a REST API. and those can get pretty technical, and that's one reason why we didn't get into them in the last 30 days. We do have at RCC have experience with REST APIs and integrating with DocuSign, which I imagine is similar to the Adobe sign. And if Adobe has a REST API for their signature, then it's something that you could use the insert from URL to integrate with. Now, when you get into that type of integration, you have to really get familiar with the platform's REST APIs, which is outside of FileMaker. So the DocuSign REST APIs and interacting
do a quick question.
With that and FileMaker.
Can you give a really basic explanation of what an API is? Like a very short sentence explanation. What is an API?
Yeah, API is, what does it stand for? I think it's like application protocol interface or something like that. It's a way one app talks to another app. And so it's different calls we can make to integrate with, say, Twilio or Slack or Dropbox or DocuSign, these things that are not FileMaker apps natively, but we can connect them. Claris Connect is really a way to get these, tries to simplify the API integration between FileMaker and other platforms.
Okay, here's one from Edward. Application program interface, the glue between two platforms, allowing developers to join two platforms together. So that's what it stands for. Cool.
Thank you.
Louis Avila, I have a question regarding table occurrences via value lists. Okay, what is the question, Louis? I would love to know. He is typing.
So this is a great, I'm just going to start with where what we know about this question. So something about value lists and table occurrences.
Yes.
I'm here looking at the FileMaker 2022 player, and we can type in here value list and do a search and see there is a bunch of content in here that we can look through and figure out if any of these are going to help us answer our questions. Value list under the hood. This is probably a good generic value list one. Sorting and unique values. That one doesn't look like it's specifically about value lists, so probably not what we're looking for. Another value list under the hood, this was probably a good one. And you can go through and see if something looks like it might answer your questions. Another great place to look is actually the FileMaker Help. So I'm going to bring that over here. If you're in FileMaker and you go to Help, the first option is FileMaker Pro Help. You can select that and it will pop open this website. And you can just search for value list. And it's going to give you, it's going to think for a minute, but it should give you a bunch of options, 167 results, examples of values, defining value list, a lot of different options in there that might help you with whatever question you have. Do we have the rest of that question about the value list?
Yes, we do, and it is a lengthy one. So let me go through it. I have been trying to generate dynamic value lists. We just had a live stream on this. And it appears the way to accomplish this is through table occurrences. And by dynamic, I mean the list values depend on some conditions. Value list interface is not intuitive, but I'm looking at the radio button option, like use values from a list, and then after choosing specify field, a new window pops up where I choose radio buttons. Include only related values starting from. And I gather this has to be a table occurrence that already has the filtered values. If so, then the conditions are set in the table relationship. Could you demonstrate the setup of the table occurrence part?
Yeah, so let me go ahead and open up.
It also looks like that's answered at the very first result here in the value list search. If you scroll up to the top here.
In the player?
No, in the help box that you were just in.
Oh, defining a value list?
Nope, up higher. Example of a value list includes only related field values.
There we go. So this would be called a filtered value list. And so this help is really going to point us in the right direction. But I still want to look at what you're looking for. So I happen to remember that I did a demo on this not too long ago. So there should be a link. And see if I can bring this up. The FileMaker Help is going to be really great in showing you answering questions like such. Let me find this link. Value list. Okay, so here is a demo. I'm not sure if we covered this in our 30-day training, but it's going to have value lists that are defined by and it's going to be filtered. So here we have categories. We've got fruit, we've got vegetables. So these three here, apple, pear, peach, are all fruit. These carrot, spinach, radish are all vegetables. And when I go to the demo, this one's selected as a fruit, so I only see fruit options, apple, peach, pear. This one's a vegetable, so I only see vegetable options, carrot, radish, spinach. And this is, let's go ahead and look at this value list. And so like you were saying, this radio button selected include only related values starting from, in this case, we're starting from the line item area. So let's go ahead and look at what actually we can just grab this, look at manage database. So I believe it said starting from this area. So based on the category, that relationship is filtering what subcategories we see in that drop-down list. And because we're starting in a line item portal, then that category field is acting as that filter. Now, in this case, we're starting from a child record, or the child buoy on this table occurrence. But you could have it vice versa, starting from the parent anchor side of the anchor buoy. So it can be either way, but you'll want to, I'm going to discard these changes, but you'll want to make sure that that is that whatever you're filtering by, that field is part of that relationship. And these can be a little tricky to set up. Sometimes it takes me a couple tries to get it exactly the way that I want it. And once again, the FM training video player is a great way to search for your questions. And you can download this, and even if you don't have a license, all the live streams are in here, and you can watch those are open. We have you can look through the series there. If you want to find something that you can do some more searching on and read through, you just select Help and then FileMaker Pro Help, and that will bring up the latest FileMaker help options, and you can search in there and browse, and there's a lot of good resources in there that you can, and examples. And this particular one doesn't have an example, but if we select a defining value list, you'll see that we've got a lot of steps to walk you through there, some notes on how to set those up. Another thing that is helpful is sometimes you're looking for a function, you don't know, and you don't see it there, so you decide you have to write your own custom function. There is a resource called briandunning.com. There's more to this. FileMaker-custom-functions. And if you just Google custom function, FileMaker custom functions, this should be one of the first results. And a lot of times whatever you're trying to do that's custom is something other people have done before, and you can search through here for custom functions that might help you in whatever you're trying to accomplish. A lot of times I will, if I need to write a custom function, I'll see if somebody's already written it and shared it here, and that can help me. And sometimes I copy what they have and start from there, or I will or I'll just use what was shared on the FileMaker custom function site. Any other questions?
Yes, actually, kind of an interesting one. When we realize a file is corrupted and we want to restore a backup, what is the best way to determine if the backup file is corrupted also?
Yeah, so this just came up for me. We had a file that crashed and was corrupted, and we thought, is the backup okay? So what you'll want to do is in FileMaker, you can, let me go ahead and close. Let me go ahead and go to FileMaker Pro and select, so you go to File, Recover, and I'm just going to select that filter value list option. I'll select it. So you would select your backup file and just run a recover on it. And whoa, well, problems were detected. There's probably a problem downloading this. So that one was a problem. So let's try this again. I will run a recover, and let's go ahead and run it on the recover, and we'll save it in the same spot. And so here it says the recover built a new database without detecting any problems. If you get the warning, that means there's corruption in the file. If you get the recover built a new database without detecting any problems, that means that backup's okay. Don't use the master file. This is just a way of checking to see if it's corrupted. You'll want to stick with the backup that's not corrupted. Good question.
As a extra side note, we also have an entire course on deploying, and it's called Deploy, but really it's about how do you work with FileMaker Server, how do you deal with backups, how do you deal with cloud and its backups and all of that jazz. So that is an entire section in one of our courses that Jacob Taylor, our IT manager, and also an incredibly sharp server guy, covers and talks his way through all that. Lonnie has a quick question.
Yes.
Would you have time to run a sample of the FileMaker data migrator? I was only able to get it work by creating the clone file from the source file.
I was only able to get it to work by creating the clone file from the source file. Oh, okay, I see. So I believe you do need a clone to do the FileMaker data migration tool. We don't have time to run through that, but let's go ahead and search in here. So migration, and let's say data migration. And because so here we have a whole video on data migration tool, intro, data migration tool, rules of the road, another intro for an older one.
Scroll to the top.
But these two videos are probably the best to look at.
Migrating data to new copy of FMSP. Sorry, no, there's just a whole list of options there. Keep going.
I'm not sure if this is specifically about the data migration tool.
FMDT is FileMaker data migration tool.
Oh, I see that now. Got it. So yeah, so we do have a lot of options there for the data migration tool. I'm not sure if we get into that in our manual, but we also have this manual you can download, or we also have the option to get it on Amazon. Here it is on Amazon. But we can search for something in your PDF reader. You can look for this data migration tool. And what happened there? Let's try that again. Data migration tool. And it doesn't look like okay, so here's the data migration tool on page 186. We get into that. And so we can go to 186 and get into those 82, 4, 5, and 6. So data migration tool, we've got some info on that here. So good questions. So there is some video resources. I'm not sure if we've done a live stream specifically on that one though.
I'm hunting to make sure, see if we have or not.
Okay.
While I'm looking for that, someone had a question about, could you show how to do a pick list? Being able to pick multiple items from a list of items and have the picked items moved to another layout, i.e. invoice.
Like for like picking products for an invoice?
Yeah, I think that's what he's talking
Okay.
about. Yeah, Elliot said yes.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
believe
Great.
I believe multiple at a time.
Oh, multiple at a time.
Have you seen Starting Point Lite 2022? Have you seen the latest version of FMSP?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
I haven't messed around too much with it. Does it have a pick list in there?
That's how it does its invoices.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I'd like to see how
really?
it does that because I don't think it probably does it the way I do. So in FM Starting Point, the current version of it, we have an invoices option, and you can select add a line, and you get a list that you can pick from. Select which one you want. If we change to, let's change to the device mode to touch, because it's a little bit different if you're on an iPad. You can see another option here. We can say add line, and we get a little bit different. So here we're looking at a list, and it brought us down to a popover to select for this new line what we want to add to that invoice. So in both cases, we're using the picker is a popover with a portal. Do you want to send me a link to, or do you have, John? Do you have the Lite FMSP?
Yeah,
beta
I don't
version there? Do you
have
want
the
to share that?
I don't have the download link to it off the top of my head, but I can show
If
it
you
and
have
then
it,
I
you can
can
share
get
your
the link.
screen and show it to us.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah,
That
go
would
ahead.
be a good plan.
Give me just 2 seconds here.
But yeah, so the picker, the way I usually do it is using a list of IDs. And if it's for an invoice, then I have a script that loops through those invoices or loops through the product IDs to create line items. So I'm assuming that they do something similar to that in FM Starting Point, the beta version. I know the master version doesn't do that.
And then real quick, kind of a follow-up from Elliot. I don't necessarily want to add a line. I want to pop up or something similar to appear with all of the items. There's only about 20. Be able to select which items are needed and click OK, and they will appear on the order with details.
Right, more or less. So this is the FMSP 2022 Lite. This is the beta version that Calvin's talking about. So if I click add a line here, you'll see I get this list of products, and I can select that I want the leather strap and the right angle, and then I can say I want to add these selected products, and now they're all here in this list. Is that sort of what you're talking about?
And it doesn't necessarily have to be line items that you're doing. The picker is generic enough that it can be used in multiple applications. So sometimes a lot of the apps that I work on, I'll replace the single selection searches in FM Starting Point with pickers, so maybe you want to select all the people that are associated with an account. You can pick 5 or however many, and assign those to the account. So pickers can be used in a lot of different ways. One of the most generic ones is this idea of selecting line items where we do have an implementation that you can look at.
So the way that this works is pretty similar to what Calvin was discussing.
Nice commenting.
I didn't write it.
I will let the boys know.
Yeah, so what we do here is we have a global variable here that's the current product IDs. And we then check. So as you click an item, it gets the ID and it checks, and it says if in that list of product IDs it already exists, then add it in there, otherwise don't. And then it lists it out here and sets it as its own ID, refreshes the parameter, and that is what sets this little check mark here that says whether or not we can see it. And then this selected products counter here is just exactly what it sounds like. It's a count of how many products exist. So it works by essentially assigning an ID to a list. So I can look here in my data viewer at this
This is
right
the
here.
beta one, so it might not be quite right.
It's this new product IDs. So you can see it's product 13. But if I click on leather strap, now I have both of them in here. If I click on server maintenance, I'll have all three of them. And then it goes through, and when I hit add selected products, it goes back into invoices and it goes and creates 3 line items for the invoice that have these 3 product IDs. Everything else, all the other information about them is all done through lookups. And like I said, I will get you a link so you can download this file, so you can take a look at that in a little bit more detail.
I think if you go to fmstartingpoint.com, there's a place to download the beta right there on the.
Yes, there is.
There is there as well. Yes.
Yeah, I will just distribute that. And that
Any other questions?
all the FMSP download links, everybody. Quick follow-up from Elliot. Could you add a product more than once, multiple of the same item?
Yeah. So do you want to handle that, John?
I believe in this particular instance, we actually don't let you, so that you don't double invoice. You increase quantity because it's a product line item. But in the case of where you'd want to add multiple of a product or whatever you're selecting, it is possible, but the way that this is set up doesn't allow for it.
Yeah, so the simplest way, yes, you would. That beta version of FM Starting Point is actually going to the effort to make sure you don't add products twice. And so you would just disable that line where it checks what's already there. Then you'd be able to add existing products a second time, or existing IDs a second time. But yeah, definitely something you can do. Yes.
I am going to ask from Media Sandbox on YouTube. Do you guys encounter more solutions which use the native FM status toolbar or a custom toolbar?
Native most of the time for me.
Native most of the time. So there was a time, this was a while ago, that they encouraged us to use the toolbar, but more and more people are trying to go toward using custom toolbars. It really depends on your user's ability to work with FileMaker and how much latitude you want to give them. Do you want them to be able to pull down the layouts list? Do you want them to see the new and delete buttons? Do you want to control? How much control do you want to give them? How much control do you want to keep for the developer?
Actually,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. If I could amend my answer a little bit. More often than not, what I'm seeing lately is people not using the toolbar at all and hiding it completely and setting up their own whatever they want. So maybe just hide the toolbar completely and then just put a new record button on the layout, as opposed to creating a custom experience or a custom status toolbar for them to be able to select options from.
I see what you're saying. So yeah, we won't necessarily see like a whole horizontal bar across the top that mimics the toolbar, but you'll see a new button or something else, some way that those features are presented. And it really, so I have users where usually the person I talk to at a company is usually very a power user, and they will use the toolbar for what they're doing, but then the rest of their team members are probably not as savvy, and so we hide it from them. So it's kind of sometimes there's a blended use. It depends on if you go into layout mode. People who go into layout mode want the toolbar.
Fair enough.
All the time.
Lonnie, to answer your question, yes, there is a way. It is called Install Custom Toolbar, and it's a script step, and it lets you select whatever toolbar you want to be the active one. I'm sorry, it's called install menu set. And you can set
what was
it
the question?
Is there a way to script displaying the toolbar based on user security settings?
Okay.
So using install menu set, you can check to say if the user has this account level access, install this toolbar, right?
Yeah. So one thing that we can easily get confused about is the toolbar versus the menu bar. So you can install different menu bars, which is like the file, edit, view options, but you can't. The customization for the toolbar is user specific by right clicking and customizing. You can't script that. You can script to hide or show it.
Mostly, yes. If you disable new record creation in the menu bar, it also disables it in the toolbar.
It's true, but you can
but the button is still there.
The button's still there. It's just grayed out.
I think at this point we're kind of nitpicking, but that is a good distinction to specify that there is a difference between there is a difference between the menu bar and the toolbar, and what I was talking about was the menu bar.
Okay. Any follow-up questions?
You place two senior engineers in a place, they'll be getting.
I know. Here we go.
Okay. We have a question from Lonnie. Someone mentioned communicating with FedEx using HTML posts to send and receive data containing XML code for generating labels. Do you have a recommendation for the best add-on to do this?
Yeah, so I don't know if do you have experience doing this, John?
Sort of. I've done it through ShipStation to create package labels through that. And then FedEx has a API that you can send data to, but it is limited to the companies that they allow to use it because they're the government and they don't like to share. So they have, there is a
FedEx or USPS?
I believe FedEx is what I am talking about. But there is a tool, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. If you give me 2 seconds, I can probably find it. That is a FileMaker kind of like add-on that is commercially available that will let you send information to FedEx/UPS and get back pricing for your boxes and labels and schedule pickups and things like that. So if that is what you're talking about, I believe it does exist.
Someone just sent this link for NRG shipping made simple. I think this came up in one of our live streams, somebody recommending it, saying they used it, but I don't have experience with this myself. But but I know people have done it before, though, either through APIs or plugins. I'm not sure if there's an add-on that does this. This is a plugin.
Yeah.
Any other
add-ons
questions?
and plugins are kind of different. So actually, do you want to explain that real fast? Wow. Nope. I can speak English. Would one of you like to explain real fast the difference between what an add-on is and a plugin is? Because they kind of have similar-ish names. They've even got like the little dash.
Yeah, so an add-on is a piece of code that becomes part of your app, and what's even more confusing is some plugins kind of deliver their components in an add-on. So and they're all in the extensions folder. So the add-on allows you to add this code directly into your app. It will create tables, scripts, layouts, and just add it right there in your FMP12 file. A plugin specifically is it's a file that you can save on your computer to your extensions folder, and then it gives you a number of functions that are and might change the way FileMaker works for you on your computer, and so it extends the capabilities of FileMaker in that way.
So to me, the fundamental difference is that a plugin gives you the tools you need to create scripts that will do specific tasks, whereas an add-on will basically do it for you. It'll add in tables, scripts, layouts, everything that you could need to get a specific thing done. It's a whole delivered package, whereas a plugin gives you the opportunity to create it yourself and is a little bit more customizable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I like that perspective on it. I like that explanation.
Cool. So there you go, people. If you were curious, FedEx will assist you in configuring the API. They have a product called Ship Manager, apparently, according to Rick Fosnot. When importing a data file to update records, is there a way to do a fuzzy match? Like a partial match, I think is what he's talking about. Like close enough?
Like the name. Can you read that question one more time?
Yes. When importing a data file to update records, is there a way to do a fuzzy match?
Oh, on the matching field itself, I don't know that you'd want a fuzzy match. What use case would you want a fuzzy match? It's usually these things you want to match pretty precisely.
So Ken,
for the actual
sorry, go ahead, John.
For the actual import, I don't believe it exists. It does exist for the lookups, though. You can do a if you don't find it and use a different value instead. That is something that lives in FileMaker, but to do it on the import, I don't think you can do approximate matches. I think it has to be exact.
And just to show what he's talking about, if we do file,
you're gonna do that, Kelvin. You need to share your screen.
Do you want to see my screen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I just have a random file open. If I go to File, Import Records, File, I'm just going to find another navigation. And so here we can say add, and
you click on add, change it to update, or
there we go. So update. I'm still used to the old one.
Yeah.
And you'll want to select which field you're matching by. So match field. So in this case, I'm saying if the IDs match exactly, then update. Otherwise, we'll create new records or skip and import those records. So if I didn't say update, we would just add them. And but matching requires that to match exactly. You'd want those IDs to match. I'm curious what scenario you wouldn't want them to match. You wouldn't care if they matched. But
for example, if you go into File Manage Database and you did lookups, you could do
so if we could look at a lookup.
So I'm used to coaching where I have to tell people go to File Manage Database and not just Command Shift D.
One of these has got to be a lookup. Here we go.
The description's a lookup, and that one's a product. Yeah.
And here, if no exact match, then either do not copy next lower value, copy next higher value, or use whatever we type in here. I've never actually used any other besides do not copy. But good questions.
Fernando, to answer your question, I was reading it. He said it couldn't find an answer on Google. Is it possible to integrate Adobe Sign specifically with FileMaker? They do have a REST API, but that's the extent of my knowledge on it. Whether or not it works well with FileMaker, I don't have experience there. It looks like it could potentially be possible.
From Eighth Estimate, follow up, restoring backup files. Assuming the backups are being created automatically on AMS, can we set a script to run after each backup that will trigger an alert if corruption is found?
That would be a question for Jacob.
I think that's a Jacob question.
But we would have to detect that there's corruption. So I'm not sure that we could script something like that. But that'd be a question for Jacob. But
yes.
Generally with the way our servers work, when there's a backup, if there's a problem running a backup, or there's a problem running a scheduled script, I get an email and it tells me there's a problem. Look at this right now. So or Jacob gets the emails.
Yeah.
If some server is giving a lot of problems, then he adds me to the list, so I get the alerts as well.
He screams of pain and agony. Yes. Real quick, since Jacob Taylor, our IT guy, actually watches our support email, I'm not going to guarantee that he'll respond, but if you toss that question towards us, someone will either forward him to you or ask you, basically, is this possible? And you'll get a yes or no answer. So I recommend tossing us an email at support@RC Consulting so we can give you a more thorough response to that. So feel free to do that. Other than that, I don't see
I see a question. There's a question in Zoom. Are any FileMaker programmers near Nacogdoches, Texas? There's through the internet, there's always a FileMaker programmer near you. But I have clients that in Nacogdoches. We would be happy to meet with you and talk with you about potentially working together, Ed. But I'm not sure who is specifically in Nacogdoches.
Thank you very much for asking questions, everyone, and tossing them our way. We really do have a huge repertoire of content that you can search through. A lot of it is free, some of it is not. And if worst comes to worst, you can also always contact us. Like, I know I said this 100 times, but I'll just repeat it. We have a coaching program, which is if you're like, I need some extra assistance because I want to do this, but I'm not quite far enough along in my FileMaker developer journey, but I also can't wait to be far enough along in my FileMaker developer journey to be there. We have a coaching program, which is half off. If you have a really complicated system, you're like, you know what? This isn't worth my time. I would rather just pay for it. We also have the wonderful John and Calvin, who I both believe are actually available these days. If you would like to, or any of our senior engineers, if you'd like to go like, hey, I need someone to actually build this for me so I can go off and go do other important things, feel free to hit us up. We have engineers pretty much all over the country. I believe that John is in Portland. You are in Pennsylvania, correct, Calvin?
Yes, I am.
You're good. I mean, not that I'm an engineer, but I'm in Virginia, right? We're scattered. RCC is scattered over the entire US due to the nature of the internet. So if you happen to be in need of assistance, feel free to send us an email at support@rcconsulting.com, lay out your problems, and we will help you find either ways for you to teach it to yourself through one of our video options or books or anything else, or we'll assign you to an engineer of some flavor that best suits your needs. So feel free to do that. So in that case,
Margaret, you're great at providing the music. You could have done the whole intro sequence. Thing. Yeah.
Not underneath like immediate pressure, like Margaret, bust this out while you're listening to a blast in your ears. That was I could like make up something on the fly, but that was a little bit too much. Seriously, real quick, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for these 30 days. It has been really awesome to see all you guys new developers or returning developers to the FileMaker platform come out. We really appreciate it. It has been fantastic interacting with you all, and I hope that you discover that the FileMaker platform is appropriate to your needs and have feel confident on starting your own journey. I hope, and I have time to prepare to sing the closing music theme. Thank you, Martin. But seriously, I hope that we have been help assistance to you. I hope that we see you in our other live streams because we do this 5 days a week. I'm here pretty much every day of the, sorry, my cat scared me. He just appeared. I'm pretty much here every day of the week with engineers of all types and shapes and stripes joining us for all sorts of things. So I look forward to seeing some of you guys there. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Thank you very much for asking questions. Thank you very much, John and Calvin. I greatly appreciate your assistance. So
happy Friday.
It is indeed a happy Friday. Have a good weekend, everyone. All right. Goodbye.